fun. It just like, it looks so good. Hello beautiful friends, my name is Katie, and in today's video, if you haven't guessed, we are making this gigantic Jack Skellington head. This thing is perfect if you want to make a ridiculous impression at anywhere where this would be a great place to wear, like a Comic-Con or a Halloween party or whatever, because literally you put it on, whoop, put it on. Look at this, look at this, look at this. To start this project off, I wanted the head to be really big to make a really ridiculous impression. So I bought 36-inch round balloons off of Amazon, which I'll leave a link below. And then I just blew the balloon up, and I actually duct taped the bottom of the balloon so that way none of the air would come out while I was making it. Next, I'm gonna go grab some newspaper, and I'm just going to tear it into long strips. This is what we're gonna use for our paper mache. You wanna make sure that the strips are not super thick, because when you're paper macheing something that is round, if they're super wide, they're gonna leave like crinkles in the middle, which won't smooth out very well. So for the next step in paper macheing, I always use flour and water. And the way I like to make my mixture is I just add some flour and then water. And I want it to be a little bit runny, but I definitely do not want it to be chunky, because otherwise it's just gonna be way, way, way too thick. And then you're going to dip your newspaper into your new glue. You're just gonna go all the way around this balloon. And yes, this process definitely takes forever because it's super sticky and super messy. You're going to want to do one full coat all the way around, making sure that everything is going kind of in one direction, and then you're going to go the other way around it, going in the opposite direction, so that way your newspaper is strong and has a lot to stick to. I did 3 layers of newspaper all the way around the balloon. This definitely depends on your personal preference. I noticed in some areas mine was a little weaker than I probably would have loved it to be. It really depends. If you are going to put this on a child who might drop it and might be hard on it, maybe go for a couple more layers. I knew that myself or an adult was going to be using it, so I figured 3 layers was okay. You want to allow a lot of drying time on this project, because if you don't, it will end up cracking, or on the other side, it'll end up just kind of never drying and staying in a weird state of just being moist. So definitely make sure it is dry. This typically takes, honestly, about at least 24 hours. It might take a couple days, maybe a week. So that is why this project took me forever. So after it is completely dry, and you can see how much lighter it is now that it's dried, I am just cutting out kind of a stencil of what I want his eye shape to look like out of paper. And then I'm going to lay this down, and I'm just going to draw around it with a black Sharpie to make sure that I have his eye placement correct. And now here's the part that ended up setting me back about a year on this project. I knew that I wanted to give him a nice big furrowed brow to really accentuate the fact that he's a skeleton and to accentuate his bones. And I found this clay at Michael's, and I thought, okay, you know, it air dries, it'll be perfect. This stuff was so hard to work with. You'll see I like try and put it on there, and then I end up just ripping it off because it just wasn't working at all. I have no idea how to make this type of clay work, but I can tell you I spent a lot of hours trying desperately hard to put this on and then ripping it off, and it just didn't work at all. So you can see it's just an absolutely lumpy mess. And even with using the sponges and using water, it just, oh man, it's bad. It looks awful. It was just not at all the results that I was looking for. So now we will pause for about 10 months while I just put this in the corner because I had no idea how to finish it. Then I came across a video where this girl was using Crayola's model magic. This stuff is marketed at kids to be super easy to use. And again, it's air dry. And the way she was using it, I was like, wait, that is exactly what I'm looking for. Maybe that is perfect. And let me tell you, this stuff is perfect. It was exactly what I was looking for. It was super, super easy to mold. It was super easy to use. It's not necessarily like the smoothest clay that I've ever used. Like if you're expecting to get like pottery clay results, you definitely will not get them using this. But if you're just trying to make your Jack Skellington costume work for the best, this stuff was awesome. And it bent so well, and it was so easy to shape, and I would highly, highly recommend this product. And then after shaping the eyes, I rolled out a long piece for the teeth. And I think the teeth are honestly my favorite part because holy cow, they look so good. They look like actual little skeleton teeth. So I took the long strip and I narrowed it at the top and bottom so that way it would be easier to blend in and wouldn't look like teeth are just stuck on top. And I grabbed one of my paintbrushes because I knew I wanted to like dig into the grooves to give him that kind of teeth texture. So I'm literally just freehanding this, which is perfect because teeth are not all the same. So you definitely don't want to make a mold. And I'm just using the back of this paintbrush to really kind of flatten out that tooth shape. And this is something that really doesn't take a lot of time. It is not tedious the way, wrapping the ball in paper mache is. This is something that was really easy and definitely had the payoff because like immediately I was like, this is awesome. This just is totally working and is so good. And because this model Magic is not really like the best clay in the entire world, it actually had kind of gaps and spaces in it, which when you look closely really looks more like teeth texture. Can I say enough positive things about this product? Probably not, but I was so happy. Literally after not being able to make this project work, after having these results, I was just like through the roof excited. So I let all the model Magic dry for about 2 days and you can see it does have some cracking like normal. Because this project is so big, I also had to go in and super glue down some of the teeth, which is why there's some blue tape in it. And I definitely had to super glue kind of his eye area in some spots that were weaker, just to verify that they're definitely going to stay there and not going anywhere. And then now I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and I'm going to cut out around his eyes because we want that to be black and we want inside of it to be able to see, because otherwise you could just paint it black, which would totally work, except that like you'd have no idea where you're going. After making the glue paste out of flour and water, I'm then going to cut really kind of thin strips of newspaper again, and I'm doing thin strips all the way around the eye socket, and I'm going to wrap a little bit underneath his eye so that it's nice and smooth all the way around. And I'm also going to want to make sure it goes down his brow so it covers up all the clay in like a really smooth manner. And I'm literally just going to go all the way around him, which again will take you a little bit of time, probably like 1 or 2 hours. Definitely leave some time for this. After I'm done with the eyes, I'm then also going to wrap it kind of on top of the teeth. So I really want the teeth to look like they are flush and like they are part of him rather than just kind of stuck on top, which is what they very much look like right now. And this is also going to help cover up any of the spots that I had cracking in. Because this ball is so big, there were a lot of like cracks that happened when the clay was drying, which I tried to super glue down, which you can see like totally didn't work, but I tried really hard. So I'm just going to make sure that I smooth the newspaper across where his teeth meet his face, so that way it's going to look like one seamless and cohesive piece. So here's what he looks like in all of his newspapery glory. And again, there's a close-up of where the cracks were in his teeth that I literally just covered up with that newspaper, so that way it will not have those just giant cracks. I waited 2 days before I started painting. I'm just going to grab some normal white paint from the craft store that's about $1 or 50 cents. I've seen in other tutorials where people do paper mache, they actually layer the top with white tissue paper or white construction paper. That way you don't have to put like 10 coats of white paint on this and you don't have the newspaper showing through. I definitely had to apply at least 3 or 4 coats of white paint because this newspaper print was not going anywhere, and this paint isn't particularly thick. It's very kind of thin and washy. So if you do have a thicker paint, that's a better idea. Or you can use some white scrap paper and that would probably give you quicker results. After coating him with tons and tons of white paint, I'm then going to go back through with black paint and I'm going to paint out his little nose holes, I think. I don't know. It made him look kind of Jack Skellington-y. And then I'm going to paint all around the teeth. And you kind of want to add like wispy lines. You definitely don't need this to be perfect. It's just going to really make his teeth shape pop out. And the wispier the ends are, the better. It definitely makes it look really, really cool and creepy. And I am so excited with how these teeth turned out. Can I say that any more times? These teeth are freaking awesome. They are my favorite part of this project. They're just so, so good. After all the paint is dry, you're then going to outline the shape of a circle, and this is where I'm going to cut the hole for your head to go in. Obviously, this differs based on who you're putting this on. If you're putting it on a little kid, you can make the hole bigger. If you're putting it on an adult, go for it. I found that kind of a universally shaped one fit both myself and my male friend who has a giant head. It fit both of us really well, and this thing looks awesome. And that's it, and you're done. Actual tutorial part of this, I will tell you that this thing is freaking amazing. There are so many times on this channel or at DIY projects where I make things and I just don't really like the way they turned out, but I definitely like try and make the best out of a bad situation, or I always want to show you guys in case you want to try, and so hopefully you don't make the same mistakes as me. This, however, is definitely not one of those. This thing I freaking love. Like, look at how cool this thing looks, how cool it turned out. The only downside to it was I actually started making this in 2018 before that Halloween, and then I just never finished it. So it literally sat on my living room floor just chilling like a ball for like an entire year because I had no idea what kind of clay to use up here in his brow and also to make these teeth. But once I finally sorted that out, super inexpensive cost to make this, and it looks so good. And now I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this freaking 3-foot tall head that looks incredible, because obviously I can't get rid of it because it's amazing. It's definitely one where it's a little time consuming. This guy would probably take you a good like 10 to 15 hours if I'm being realistic, because you have to paper mache it and wait for everything to dry. So there's a lot of day drying time. So you probably couldn't make this any faster than like 3 days, a week. I mean, there's definitely like a time element involved in this one, but the results are so worth it. I made this for myself, but I had one of my friends wear it to a Halloween party and everyone like loved it. They were like, this is the best costume I've ever seen. And I'm like, I made that costume, but it's fine. They all knew that I made it, but this is one where it makes a huge impression and it is so dang cool. And the other side of it is you can wear this without having to put face makeup on, which is kind of itchy if you wear it for a while. So this is something that is great. Back to being Jack. If you guys like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button down below, because I make tons and tons of YouTube videos like this one of this wonderful head. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you next video. Bye!